Okay.
Oh, hey, Arnold.
Hi.
It might be.
The guest is the recording.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
recording started.
All right. Good afternoon. You're attending a section of the Ethics Board for Baltimore City for Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. Time is 2:35 p.m. And you need to know that we have a statement concerning June's administrative session. Per the Open Meetings Act, the board discloses that it adjourned its virtual open meeting on July 14th, 2021 to enter into an administrative session at approximately 3:27 p.m. All board members were present and members discussed administrative matters, including complaints. Now, in that regard, today the board may need to close some or all of this meeting to preserve the confidentiality mandated by the Ethics Code or is otherwise authorized by the State Open Meetings Act. Likewise, upon adjournment of the open session, the board may reconvene for an administrative session to discuss non-public administrative functions of the board. Good afternoon. All members are present, and we'll go ahead and move to the July 14th, 2021 public minutes. I have them in front of me. They look thorough. I have no requested edits. Members?
Nope, look good to me.
Okay. I'll move for approval of the written minutes of July 14th, 2021. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of the approval of those minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. And now we'll pass this to Mr. Hochstetler.
Thank you, Chair Fogelman. So this is the update on some of the staff happenings since the last meeting in July. One of the most exciting things that happened, we finally got that automated ethics training up and running. So many thanks to the Department of Human Resources Training Division for helping us make that live. So the way that that's now going to work on the Ethics Board's website, we have employees and officials can register for one of the upcoming month-long sort of sessions where they can enroll in the course and they'll have the rest of the month to take it. And then we will send the rosters to the DHR's training division and they'll kind of handle the enrollment and follow-up and tracking and then sort of share that information with us. So after making the August, September, and October sessions available and broadcasting that to, we started off with just choosing a few agencies, all sort of deputies, heads of agencies, and then we started working on the financial disclosure, the required filers at those agencies. After sort of broadcasting that list, we had 122 people enrolled just in the August course alone, and we have over 100 now signed up for the September course, and they're rolling in for October. So this is really, I think, a game changer in getting an ethics training broadly disseminated to basically, hopefully, all city officials and employees.
Yep. I'm getting positive feedback. My husband said, "Wow, nice job on the email and the site." I was like, "Oh yeah, we did that. That's great." But it really read nicely and it was easy to sign up. So
yeah, and that automated training has interactive quiz sessions in between the specific I guess tutorial and overview sections. People can stop their progress and then restart again later, and so it's really I think it's really a big improvement over what we had. And
the fact that they've passed or taken it is recorded in the system.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And Maura, can you get those reports independently, or do you have to go to HR or what?
So we have a contact at HR, so we go back and forth. So every month I'll send him a list of attendees. He sends me a list of people who took the training the previous month. And then we have our internal record keeping.
Okay. And then if we want to sign up, Jeff, we go to the website and do it, or you want us to wait?
No, you can go ahead and sign up now. One thing to note, as it stands, only employees and officials with city IDs get on the DHR backend. It has something to do with limited licenses. But our workaround for that, many thanks to Mara's quick quick work with the website, we will also have the module ready to go on our website for other non-city ID people, such as yourselves. And that will be ready as of the September session. So the same registration link will be for everybody to use, but we'll just sort of shoot them in different directions, and we'll be able to keep track. So yeah, if you want to sign up right now, feel free.
Okay, good.
I apologize. I missed what Donna wants to sign up for.
For the training, the online training, just because I thought it'd be a good idea for us to take it, to be familiar with it, and in case we get questions, or just so we're aware.
Well, regarding that training, I have a thought I wanted to float out. It just crosses my mind, and that is, we are obligated to provide training to the city employees and to appointees, et cetera, et cetera. But the goal of that is for people to get it, to understand the parameters that they're expected to operate within while they are officially attached to the city of Baltimore, associated with the city of Baltimore. And I was thinking that I wanted to get your reaction to us eventually, that's the controlling word, eventually, not this minute, floating out a quiz, so to speak, a survey, but making it interesting and saying that the ethics board is interested in seeing what kind of retention has occurred amongst the population that we've attempted to reach with respect to the ethics expectations under the expectations of the law under the ethics code. And so we're asking if you would voluntarily complete this survey and submit it. And we plan to publicize how the various components did in terms of their accuracy. Moira, don't hate me, because I got a feeling this was falling yellow. Now, I heard the hate. I felt the hate in my head. I felt it was hot.
It's following up on training with a survey for efficiency and effectiveness is certainly a good idea.
Well, the point I'm making, we can make it interesting by saying we will publicize how the various components and agencies did. I mean, well, at least the top three. We won't talk about the people doing bad, but some agencies may do better than others. Some components may do better than others. The idea is we want them to get it so that they won't, over time, at first just sit and consume it and then not really get it.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jeff, and Moira, we probably have the best ethics training ever presented in Baltimore City, because it's the first. So how can you not be the best? You're wonderful. But the point is, here's the point. The point is that our current event, things going on around us, suggest that sometimes people may forget, and may not quite appreciate ethical aspects of some things they're doing. Just saying. And so down the road, if we consider doing that, and I'm not trying to make work for Jeff or Moira, but if we did that, I think it would be helpful to the population. They would either get involved and immerse themselves in it and enjoy it, or they would not, and that was okay. But it at least re-exposes them in a way that has no penalty or problem. But I think it would give them a chance to answer a kind of pop quiz. What about this? And the video, what about that? And clearly, the staff has the capability of crafting such an instrument in time. So that's the key. You decide when and if. But I'm putting it out there because I think it would be beneficial. And I think, though it's not mandated of us to do this, I think it's the right thing to do.
Definitely.
I like that idea, Arnold, and I think that we can think about that. And Mara and I continue to brainstorm new outreach ways, because education is actually one of the mandates of the board. Education, I think, apart even from training. So we've done that in sort of like a wonderful gifts quiz that Mara put together that people can take on the website. But I do like the idea maybe of, every now and again sending out a fun top 5 like ethics quiz questions and just seeing, people want to answer it. We can do we can maybe make it a Google document or something like that. So yeah, a good idea.
Or a Survey Monkey kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll stop there for now.
No, thanks.
Sure, thank you.
I know the Honolulu Ethics Commission, they do Trivia Tuesday on their Twitter. And it's every Tuesday they do one ethics hypothetical, and then people will comment their answers. So I've had that in my brain. I think we could do some really creative, fun trivia questions through Twitter or email blasts. So
I give you full credit, Maura. I read your mind. It was in over out of your head.
Yeah, I think sometimes the issue with the Twitter accounts is a lot of people end up following the ethics account. It's not necessarily always the employees and officials. So
No.
Anyway, so that's training. Really, really positive. Help desk update. We had a total of 87 help desk requests in July. 34 of those were substantive ethics inquiries, requests for guidance. The next biggest category were requests or questions from lobbyists. And that had to do with the timing right now of getting the first semi-annual report for lobbyist activity. That's due July 31st. So Mara was very on top of reaching out to all of the registered lobbyists, reminding them that the report was due. And I'll actually jump over to the lobbying front and say every lobbyist filed on time with the exception of one, and that lobbyist was only 1 day late. And so we did charge them the $25 late fee. But so that's good. And I think there are just over 100 registered lobbyists at this point. So
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And speaking of new thoughts or new frontiers, figuring out some new outreach and potential education resources to both registered lobbyists and potential lobbyists, I think is one of our new priorities now. It sort of had been. It always felt a little bit like an afterthought of the ethics law, especially when there was not dedicated staff. But I think that we really can make a difference in that regard by making an ethics or a lobbyist training, putting together some distribution lists that just remind them that the ethics law governs lobbying, and here are the things that are going to count as lobbying. Here are the registration requirements, things like that.
Do they take the normal training?
No.
Okay.
Lobbyists don't
Okay,
take
then definitely.
Yeah, and there are, it's a whole subtitle within the ethics law of, when registration is required, what needs to be reported on the activity reports, some of the prohibitions on, kind of gifts you can give or can't give to public servants. So I think that's actually really important.
Yep.
Let's see, on sort of the forms, some of the forms front, we had our notice of ethics requirements that we instituted a few months ago continue to trickle in when new employees or officials start. So we're getting some conflicts. We got 3 conflicts affidavits and 5 signed notices of ethics requirements. Financial disclosure statements. You'll remember we had a discussion about this last time. I think at that point there were over 100, as of July, over 100 outstanding filers still, even though the vast majority had filed. And the board's directive at that point was basically, look, follow up with, as we had sort of been doing, but sort of one last push, follow up with either the agency head, if it was a board member, go ahead and follow up with their appointing authority. And we got that number down to only 19 outstanding filers.
Wow.
So really had an effect. And we're talking about 19 out of almost a required 2,900 filers. So that's good. And we can, and it's a smattering. It's a smattering of agencies, a couple of boards. I think it's still possible some of these people maybe have left the city and we just haven't somehow connected. So we'll continue to think about how to figure out what's going on with this last list of 19. But the follow-up has really made a difference.
Arnold.
That's great.
Thank you, Madam Executioner. Sorry, my bad. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I was so bad. I, unless this applies to me, I propose a $1,000 a day fine for any member of the Board of Ethics who has not completed their ethics form disclosure. Just kidding.
I
Well,
think we've all done it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Jeff got on me because I was
Exactly.
the last day.
Exactly. It's
We didn't really want that embarrassment. Of,
No, and I know I'm good because the wonderful Mara helped me through it. Hot diggity. Thank you again. Got a
prior staff was good at that. So we want to at least keep up with this what we were good at in the past, and we
That's
were
right.
good at getting our members to file in the past. So
Good.
there was a brew article before my time on the board, and it addressed the failure to file of an ethics board member. That was about 7 years ago. So we're not due for another one of those for another season.
But I do want Mara to take a look at mine, for example, because I did notice the autofill was a little squirrely.
Okay, that was actually like a few people brought that up. It's their computer would like fill it in with maybe their spouse's information if they're using a shared computer. So I can definitely look at yours, and that's something that we will definitely bring up with the development team because they're working on some corrections.
Okay.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways that has to do with the browser you're using too. You know, the autofill. It's not always something that happens on the back end. It's more the browser that you might be using.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, we will be having a conversation with BCIT about some of the quick fixes that we think we noticed of what could be better maybe next time around. And you know, maybe someday we'll even have an even more user-friendly system, but that's a discussion for another day.
Okay.
We at least didn't have 2,500 paper filings this year, so.
Well, I suspect, I mean, from my past experience, there were always a handful of the same people every year who didn't file unless you went after them. And it was almost like they were testing the system. So do try to get through that 19 and see if any are active employees,
Figure it out, yeah.
appointees that are just testing to see if we're really doing our job.
And so there's two agencies that has like the most amount of those 19, and those two, they had never been required to file in the past. They were required under the law, just they were kind of missed. So this is the first time we had ever reached out to them and asked them to file. So all of those employees were clueless about the financial disclosure form. So I'm not surprised that a lot of them are coming from these two agencies. But yes, I agree. I'm checking, trying to figure out who's no longer with the city. And I can call, some people give me their phone numbers to help them finish the form. So.
Excellent.
All right. And I think the only other thing to mention that you all can be watching out for potentially before the next meeting in September, but at the very least by then, the Ethics Board's annual report is due September 30th. And this will be the first time in, was it 7 years that we're actually putting together an annual report?
Yeah.
So luckily we're in a good spot because the types of information we're going to be providing is the stuff that we've been discussing all along and keeping track of all along. So and it's interesting putting together the content. I think it's a good opportunity to give very brief overviews of each section of the law, so it can serve its own sort of educational function of like, here's what the ethics law talks about when it comes to gifts, and then we'll talk about gift solicitation numbers, or here's what it talks about when it comes to financial disclosures, and then we'll give the financial disclosure numbers. So we'll hopefully have something bright and shiny to show you by mid-September.
Nice.
Wonderful.
We have a lot to say. We've had an interesting year.
Yeah.
And we should report on it to the extent that we can.
Well, and to that end, I mean, we will be having de-identified public summaries of each one of the complaints that you all have resolved. So that's I'm not aware that that's ever really happened in the past.
I don't think so.
So I think that's it for our public agenda update.
So I have a question.
Any
I have a
old or new?
request.
Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Request/question. Now that we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary of the organization as it is today, I would think that we'd want to be on the audit schedule to baseline. I think ethics is one of those functions that requires a rigorous or regular audit. In my previous life, we were one of the few functions that were audited every year. And that was primarily because of the autonomy and some of the, the types of issues we were dealing with. And I think it's, our honeymoon period's coming to a close, and we've done a lot of great things. So I think we want to baseline and see what an outside auditor thinks our greatest gap areas are, or what we should focus on for year 2.
I want to be the amazing question, if I may, for a moment, and predict that auditor would say our weakest link, just to steal the term,
Now you have 2 shows.
is that we don't have a full, robust board, that we still have a vacancy.
Good. That's where audits can come in handy.
It can indeed. I'm even inclined to ask the distinguished members and staff if we would be inclined to send a respectful communication towards the mayor's office that says, we want to thank you for your support of our board. We want to thank you for we want to acknowledge how skillfully you have stewarded the city's government and your during your brief tenure as mayor. And we also want to simply remind you that we are still lacking one appointee, and we're delighted that appointee is the one will be coming from you. So we'll hope you'll direct someone to give it attention to get us that appointee. It's a thank you note with a hook.
All right. As far as the audit goes, this city is a little bit slow to get around to. Now, I don't think there's too many agencies who are raising their hand in the front row saying, me, call on me. I want to be audited.
Yeah.
So if we were to ask for an audit, that might speed up the process. As far as I do think it would be great to communicate with City Hall regarding the 5th member. I think it would be better for this board, and quite frankly, better for the membership as well. Have to worry about 100% attendance in order to carry any motion. I don't think we need to get too personal with respect to politics or performance in office. So, but beyond the general.
Well, it's going to be obvious in the annual report anyway, because he's going to report that we have a vacancy that needs to be filled.
Right. True. And then that could be the basis of a letter to City Hall. As you can see, the auditor correctly pointed out that we could do better if we had a 5th member. I see Melody has a question. Your hand's up.
Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Okay. No, I just didn't want to jump right in. No, I think that makes sense. I was going to make the same point that Donna made, which is, I don't necessarily know that we need to proactively reach out to the mayor, but we can certainly provide him with a copy of the report that shows that he has a vacancy available. And to your point, Steve, I don't think it would be nice to have another voice. That's always nice to have diversity of voices, but we're going to need a quorum of 3, whether we have another person or not. So in terms of
except Melody, and we first discovered this when you had to recuse yourself for a matter. We need 3 votes to approve something. So while we need a quorum to meet, we would need unanimity in the vote in order to carry a motion. So that's why we need 4, as far as I remember. If I remember correctly,
You're saying that are you saying that if you're saying that in the group of 4, if one is absent, we would need unanimity? I hear you. Is that if that's what you're saying?
yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So we
it's
always
five.
need to be here. Yeah. No, I get you. I hear.
Yeah, the board can both meet and act with 3 members. But that doesn't leave much. Yeah, that doesn't leave much room for more than one absence. But I will say, coincidentally, the mayor's appointment contact did just reach out to me today to follow up on that, to sort of clarify what the vacancy actually is. So I helped out with that. So it is still on their radar.
Okay. Yep. I'm sure it is.
That's an excellent sign.
Let me just add one thing to this audit. Now, I know the internal audit function of the city might be overburdened or short-staffed at this point. And one of the things we did in my former life was we would use peer audits. So so who would make a good peer auditor for us? If there's someone in Isabel's office that could objectively audit us, here's what's required, here's what we've done. And then in turn, down the road, you, Jeff, or Mara could peer audit something in their function. So it doesn't have to be a quote unquote internal auditor per se if they're overburdened. It can be a peer auditor.
Well, and I'll tell you what I'll do in that regard. I know that the OIG has the Association of Inspectors General has a function where you can request to have basically your own operations reviewed. So the equivalent the organization that I'm aware of for ethics would be the Council on Governmental Ethics Laws. So they've already been on my radar to see if it's something worth joining sort of as a staff member, and I'll take a look to see if they have any suggestions in that regard. I'm not entirely sure if the internal audit process always covers just programmatic audits. I mean, we don't have a lot of fiscal, there's not much fiscal happenings with us.
Definitely a program.
But I'm thinking that a peer audit, the way it sounds like a peer audit, would be another agency within the city government. But having an audit done by the OIG is a self audit, and that's right. Allow me to say also, squeeze in, except if we go to the Baltimore County OIG and ask if they would give us a courtesy audit, they might laugh, but that would be a peer audit worth having because they're not in our realm.
Right.
Yellowwick.
Right. Again, I feel like we strive to maintain the highest transparency in city government, and an audit by the official whose office administers support to our board, that might be a little close to home.
Okay, well, let's just put it out there. Jeff, Mara, think about it. And I just think at the 1 year mark, when you do your annual report, anytime soon after would be a good time to have a review.
That's great. Thank you for putting that on the radar. And I think that maybe checking with the Council on Governmental Ethics would make sense as a place to start as far as potential peer.
Yeah, they may even have a toolbox where you do a self-assessment.
Yep.
That's another thing we used where, the .org, the recognized .org would have a self-assessment process. So, yeah, it's a good idea.
Well, I think that director's update went into some new business for sure. Yes. So that's
and
there is no old no it's fine. There is no old business that as far as I was able to ascertain.
Was I noticed in the last month's minutes, it said that I had requested a copy of the original submission for the solicitation request. Did I get that?
So I had done it during the last meeting. In the recorded minutes, Jeff said, "Oh, I just sent it to you." But if you had never received that, I can send it to you right now.
The original submission.
Yeah, I I had thought during the last meeting we had sent it out, but if you didn't receive that,
Oh,
I
did you? Okay, that's why, that, maybe I missed it
It's-
because it was during the meeting.
It's, yeah, I think we either sent it as an email or in the chat function. If not, we'll definitely send that out after this. Catalina from Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs didn't quite get back to us in time for this meeting. So
Okay.
that will definitely be something you can review when she gets back on our agenda.
And do me a favor, and Melody is the young member of the board, but do not send us anything substantive through the chat function, other to say something like "you're muted" or
Yeah.
or something like, because we'll never get it, or know how to download it or review it later. So please email.
Fair
me.
enough.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. All right. Is there anything else? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to move to administrative session and in the public session.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of moving to adjourn the public session, moving into administrative session, signify by
Aye.
saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We've adjourned our public session. Thank you.
Mm.